In 1975, an investigation found that a chemical plant in Hopewell was polluting the James River with a highly toxic pesticide. The Commonwealth banned all commercial fishing from Richmond to the Chesapeake for the next 13 years. In 1977, the resulting court settlement set aside $8 million to establish the Virginia Environmental Endowment, America's first grant-making foundation devoted exclusively to the environment. For the past 40 years, the endowment has protected the health of Virginia's air, land, and water. Awarding 1,400 grants to nearly 500 partner organizations, that initial $8 million settlement grew into $28 million, spurring $80 million in environmental research, education, outreach, conserving natural resources and landscapes, and improving Virginia's waterways and the Chesapeake Bay. VEE has provided seed grants and early funding to some of Virginia's most prominent conservation organizations. The endowment has also supported environmental programs at Virginia universities and awarded more than $600,000 in college scholarships. The Virginia Environmental Endowment will continue to make strategic investments to bring innovative solutions to critical environmental challenges for the next 40 years and beyond. For more information on VEE and how to contribute to its work, visit VEE.org.
The Virginia Department of Environmental Quality is the environmental agency of the Commonwealth, safeguarding the environment and promoting the health and well-being of its citizens. By preparing and issuing permits to businesses, local governments, and state and federal facilities, DEQ establishes safe limits and reduces pollution. Every day, DEQ works to ensure we don't see sites like this in Virginia anymore, and that we all enjoy improved air quality, cleaner water, and revitalized land. Carrying out the many far-reaching permitting programs and protection initiatives of the agency are a dedicated, talented team of professionals from 6 regional locations and the central office. We are scientists, engineers, inspectors, modelers, policymakers, permit writers, administrators, communicators, and of course, environmentalists. Most of all, we are problem solvers. We work as one agency to carry out extensive monitoring and assessment of our air and water and the many protection and conservation initiatives of DEQ. We collaborate with a statewide team of partners to help restore the Chesapeake Bay, develop cleanup plans for affected water bodies, work with volunteers to monitor recreational waters, oversee the cleanup and revitalization of contaminated sites to turn distressed property into viable real estate, and respond to pollution complaints and environmental emergencies and disasters to assist local and state first responders. In everything we do, our number one priority remains to protect the Commonwealth's diverse and abundant natural resources. Through this important work, DEQ supports agriculture, industry, and commerce, and provides a rich, healthy environment for plants, wildlife, and people.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Colonel Dave Gray. I'm the director of the Center for Leadership and Ethics, and I'd like to welcome you to the 31st Annual Environment Virginia Symposium. First, I'd like to start out by thanking members of our program committee who worked very hard with our team here at the center to produce this first virtual Environment Virginia. Second, I'd like to recognize all of you who've been here in past years and are rejoining us for this conference. And I'd like to recognize the many newcomers and participants to the conference. Now, while we can't be together today, we are determined to preserve the personality of this unique conference. So with that in mind, I'd like you to enjoy our traditional opening as our VMI Cadet Color Guard and our Herald Trumpets will post the colors and play our national anthem. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to join me in giving our cadets a virtual high five for a job well done. Good job, ladies and gentlemen. Now, to open our conference, it's my great pleasure to introduce Major General Cedric Wins, the interim superintendent at VMI. General Wins is a 1985 graduate of VMI who commissioned in the United States Army in the Field Artillery branch. During his distinguished 34-year career, General Wins held many positions of leadership, including in the Department of the Army and on the Joint Staff in the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. In his final command while on active duty, General Wins served as the first commanding general of the U.S. Army's Combat Capabilities Development Command. He has earned a bachelor's degree in economics, a master's degree in management from Florida Institute of Technology, and a master's degree in national security and strategic studies from the National War College. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Major General Wins.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome from the Virginia Military Institute for this, the 31st Annual Environmental Virginia Symposium. VMI is proud to be the host of this annual conference, along with our co-hosts, the Virginia Department of Environment Quality, the Virginia Department of Conservation and Recreation, and the Virginia Department of Forestry and the Virginia Environmental Endowment. 2 years ago, we celebrated the 30th anniversary of this conference with you. Over the years, the Environment Virginia Symposium has developed its own personality and has become one of the annual events you all look forward to. It is known for inviting a free exchange of ideas and knowledge between individuals, businesses, government agencies, and nonprofits for the greater environmental good. Last year, we had to announce the cancellation of this event just 2 weeks before its start, much to all our disappointment. Little did we know that a year later, many of you would still be working remotely and we'd be holding this conference online. I'm pleased to let you know that even though we are meeting virtually, through the hard work of our staff and the volunteers of the statewide program advisory committee, we are bringing you the same opportunities to hear from and confer with experts on all aspects of environmental management, policy, education, advocacy, and science. In addition to the 20 live breakout sessions over the next 3 days, you will hear from Secretary of Natural Resources, Matthew Strickler, Secretary of Agriculture and Forestry, Bettina Ring, and retired Rear Admiral Ann Phillips, Special Assistant to the Governor for Coastal Adaptation and Protection for the state of Virginia. At VMI, we are proud of our environmental programs in the sciences and engineering. These programs are part of a long tradition at the Institute and of concern for the environment and the economy of the Commonwealth. On behalf of the faculty, staff, cadets of VMI, I extend to all of you a very warm welcome. It now gives me great pleasure to welcome our keynote speaker, the 73rd Governor of Virginia, and also an alumnus of the VMI class of 1981. Ralph Northam is the 73rd Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia. Governor Northam has been a doctor in the Army, a pediatric neurologist, business owner, state senator, and lieutenant governor. A native of Virginia's Eastern Shore, Governor Northam was educated at the Virginia Military Institute and the Eastern Virginia Medical Center and has served in the United States Army. Governor Northam is working to ensure that all Virginians have an equal opportunity for good health, a good education, and a good job, no matter who they are or where they live. Governor Northam is committed to building a better Virginia by supporting good stewardship of the Commonwealth's economy, investing in Virginia's future, respecting the diversity of Virginia voices, and enhancing opportunities for Virginians to thrive. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Governor Ralph Northam, the first governor who has spoken at 4 consecutive Environment Virginia Symposiums.
Well, good morning to everybody. And first of all, thanks, General Wins, for your kind introduction, and also thanks for your leadership at VMI over this past year, which I know has been very difficult for all of us. And I want to especially thank my alma mater, VMI, for holding the Environmental Virginia Symposium once again. I also want to acknowledge a couple people that this has been so much of a team effort. First of all, our Secretary of Natural Resources, Matt Strickler, has just done an amazing job to lead Virginia really to the next level and really encourage all of us to be stewards of the environment. Also, our Secretary of Agriculture and Forestry, Bettina Ring. Agriculture is our #1 industry. Forestry is our #3 industry. So she has a lot on her plate and has just done amazing work. And then Ann Phillips, Admiral Ann Phillips, for her adaptation and resiliency work, so important for all of Virginia, but especially for Hampton Roads, where obviously we are threatened by sea level rise and flooding. So we have a great team, and I'm proud of what we've been able to accomplish, but it has been through working together. Like previous speakers have said, wish that we could all meet in person, but we know that that's not safe yet. But I do have good news. There is light at the end of this dark tunnel. The vaccine rollout is going well. And I think that we can all start to look to a brighter future and getting back to a more normal way of life. I know that we all want that desperately. In the past few years, we've taken transformational steps forward to protect Virginia's environment. And I think if you, all of you looked at that video that just played, and it just reminds us just what a beautiful Commonwealth we have with so many natural resources. We've made major strides to clean up Virginia's waterways and the Chesapeake Bay. We've taken dramatic steps to address the climate crisis. We have protected habitats, ecosystems, and public lands. And we continue to work to ensure meaningful and transparent public engagement and to consider environmental justice as we shape policy. The warming climate poses a major threat, both globally and right here in Virginia. It affects public health, it affects our economy, and it affects our ecosystems. Virginia has taken bold steps to address the climate crisis. We put our clean energy goals into law through the Virginia Energy Plan and the Clean Economy Act. And we've made Virginia a hub for the offshore wind economy. And in January of this year, Virginia became the first Southern state to join the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative. We call that RGGI, a regional cap and trade program to reduce emissions from power plants. Now, climate change threatens Virginia's most precious natural treasure, that being the Chesapeake Bay. We have a bold, comprehensive plan to meet our bay cleanup responsibilities by 2025. It tackles the problems of polluted runoff, problems that are increased because climate change is raising our rainfall levels. We have created a clear time frame for implementing nutrient management plans and livestock stream exclusion projects. By fostering partnerships between farmers and local soil and water districts, we can ensure that these practices are cost-effective tools that provide clean water while also being good management decisions. The bay and its watershed are important ecosystems, home to a wide variety of marine life and animal species. Our ongoing effort to restore native oyster populations in the Chesapeake Bay has been the most ambitious and successful in Virginia history. and we are on our way to exceeding our restoration goals for 6 tributaries. We've taken aggressive action to end overfishing of striped bass, and we have put the Marine Resources Commission in charge of overseeing Atlantic menhaden, a lot of us would agree the most important fish in the sea. And we worked with the Department of Wildlife Resources and the Department of Transportation to save Virginia's largest seabird colony at the Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel. If none of you have visited that area to see what a success story that is, I would encourage you to do so. Over the past year of the pandemic, more Virginians than ever have visited our state parks and other natural sites. I thank Clyde Christman for his tremendous leadership in DCR. This reminds us how important it is to protect and conserve public lands. That's why we developed Conserve Virginia, a smart map that identifies priority lands for conservation. We've applied that standard to all of our land acquisitions in recent years. We've opened new state parks, such as Widewater State Park along the Potomac River and Seven Bends State Park in the Shenandoah Valley. Soon, we'll open 2 more state parks, Machicomico and Clinch River. We'll also open the Charlotte State Forest. I encourage all of you, the beautiful state parks, to get out there and get some fresh air. I know we've been cooped up for well over a year now. We've also taken other land conservation steps, such as helping the Chickahominy tribe acquire 105 acres along the James River. And the Virginia Department of Forestry partnered with the Nature Conservancy to permanently protect over 22,000 acres in Southwest Virginia, the largest conservation easement in the Commonwealth's history. We have also celebrated the 100th agriculture easement funded through the Farmland Preservation Program. We're making progress, but we know that risks still exist. Record-breaking rains and recurrent flooding remind us that flooding is unpredictable and destructive. That's why we've taken steps to improve resilience, limit state development in floodplains, and begun the work for a coastal resilience master plan. Last week, we announced the hiring of planning and engineering firm Dewberry to assist the effort. Together with dedicated funding from RGGI, Virginia now has a strong, comprehensive approach to dealing with increased flooding from climate change and sea level rise. As we do all of this, we remember that the environment belongs to all of us. That's why I've made it a priority to ensure that our environmental policies provide equal opportunity and protection for all Virginians, and sign legislation that puts that policy in writing. We made the Virginia Council on Environmental Justice a permanent body and convened a working group to recommend ways state agencies can engage environmental justice communities. The budget also includes unprecedented funding for the Department of Environmental Quality to enhance environmental protections and improve public engagement. I want to thank David Paler for his leadership through DEQ and all of his staff that have just done an amazing job. We also will continue to build on the Uniform Partition of Heirs Property Act, which helps Virginia families, especially minorities and low-income families, protect and keep inherited land, maintain generational wealth, and conserve working landscapes. But there is still more to do. Our landfills and incinerators are getting nearly 23 million tons of solid waste per year, a 10% increase over the past decade. At the same time, recycling programs in the Commonwealth have limited or stopped operations. Single-use disposable plastic items, in particular, pose a severe and growing threat to fish and wildlife and to the health of our Chesapeake Bay. Plastics, everything from plastic forks and spoons to straws to bottled water, are the most pervasive type of marine debris in our ocean and along our coasts. It clutters our water and harms wildlife. We know the planet will be better off if we stop using so much plastic. The Commonwealth must and will lead by example. So that's why today I'm pleased to announce another step towards sustainability and a cleaner environment. Earlier today, I signed Executive Order 77 to phase out single-use plastics at all of our state agencies, including colleges and universities. This will make Virginia a national leader in reducing plastic pollution. I also was glad to sign Delegate Betsy Card's bill to ban plastic foam food containers. Our goal is to drive a shift away from these items so we help build a cleaner, healthier environment. Protecting the environment truly benefits everyone. A healthy environment means healthier people. Greater biodiversity means greater recreational opportunities. And environmental protection can benefit Virginia's economy, whether it's from ecotourism, robust fisheries, or clean energy. We have a lot of work to do and many challenges to overcome, but I am optimistic about what we can do together and proud of everything we've accomplished so far. You have to know me a little bit. As General Wynn said, I hail from the Eastern Shore, and I don't know about you, but I'm proud to be a Virginian, and I believe that Virginia is the best state in the best country in the world, and we're going to do everything that we can to keep it that way. So I thank you all for being here today, and I look forward to continuing our environmental work together this year. Thanks so much. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I hope next year we're all in person again. So take care. Thanks.
Well, thank you, Governor, and we greatly appreciate your sustained support for Environment Virginia. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to kick off the conference. We're going to take a break until 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, at which time please return and click on the DEQ regulatory updates link at 10 o'clock. And I'd like to remind you, we have many great sponsors who want to talk to you and talk about their products. So please be sure to visit our virtual exhibit hall at any time throughout the conference. So ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you again at 10:00 for the DEQ regulatory update. Have a great day.